I'm here to help families, doctors, providers make the best decision for their clients, patients, to get the help they need for mental health, substance abuse, eating disorder, you name it, whatever it is.
On the minds of parents, a lot of people just want to know, what are the signs and symptoms of substance abuse, especially when it comes to teenagers and young people?
Well, I think when you think about teenagers and your students dealing with just life in general, we got to look at what they're dealing with. They're, like, if there's a change in friends, change in habits, eating habits, sleeping habits, you look at their grades. How are their grades? If you find your teenager being more protective of their space, other signs and symptoms, definitely if they're more protective of their phone. And so if you're not monitoring your kid's phone, let me tell you, you're missing out on really what's going on in their lives, because that is how the kids communicate. And then there's some just looking at life patterns, and that's where you really start seeing those symptoms, and that'd be the first signs of issues going on.
So what if a child is going to college and, a parent might not be able to monitor them as closely? Like, what can they do in that situation?
Well, I will tell you this. The colleges have on campus, I was at Ole Miss last week, there is counseling departments, there is peer support at colleges, and the biggest thing is you have support. You just got to ask for help. I would tell any student, any child going to college, just be honest and be aware. Have people in your life that you can be real with. The problem is when when we keep things quiet. We're as sick as our secret. So be honest. If you're doing substances or you're doing drugs, tell somebody. Even if it's wrong, tell somebody, because you want people to know what's going on in your life.
Absolutely. And if a kid or child goes to their parent, maybe does express these concerns,
oh, wow.
How could a parent react to this?
Okay. Let me tell you, parents, Parent 101, do not act shocked. You have to be open and you have to be a safe place. Because most likely, if they're experimenting with substance abuse, they have some mental health going on as well. They could have some issues going on. So you need to be that safe place for them. There's a time for discipline, but you first got to be a safe place where they can be honest. And if your child can't be honest with you, you're already coming from behind in the battle.
Absolutely. Are overdoses among young people something that you're seeing more of, or that is on the rise?
It's on the rise everywhere. It's the thing to do. It's experimental. And right now with marijuana, the question about legalization, medical marijuana, it's being laced with a lot of different things. And so we just can't, kids are just experimenting. That's just the nature of a teenager. So it's up to parents to monitor and just be aware of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, what do you think is drawing kids to be experimenting with this, and why is it so dangerous?
Well, I think experimenting just comes with the territory of being a teenager. I mean, we all know when we want to push those boundaries. But I think also the pandemic really affected us because it forced us into isolation, and it forced kids to do more digital. And what we're finding with students is they are more digitally engaged, and they're not digitally engaged. And when you're digitally engaged, you're missing actual relationship engaged. And all that just leads into the constant messaging that they get all the time of doing this. It looks cool, it's fun, let's try it. They're always looking for the next thing to make them have that excited moment.
Absolutely. And I think, a lot of parents, they don't want to think that their kids would ever do something like this, right? But, maybe they just are unaware.
Yeah, don't be so sure. Substance abuse happens and experimentation happens on every socioeconomic strata. You just don't see it as much in the higher upper classes. It's more sort of hush-hush, but it affects everybody from the very high to the very rich to the very low. Every student, they want to experiment.
So what else can parents do to just, make sure this isn't happening to their kids, or help their kids if it is happening?
I tell you, I would think one thing that parents need to do, number one, I would say every parent needs to get Narcan. Have a can of Narcan in your house, and you have to get trained on it, so learn how to get trained. Talk to the Memphis Area Prevention Coalition, and they can do a Narcan training at your church, at your school, and that would be very helpful. So Narcan, number one. Number two, get engaged with your kids. Don't just let them just do what they want to do. Be engaged. They're going to want to be digitally independent. But unfortunately, you're their parent, not their friend. Your job is to guide them, be involved in their life, have a relationship, and have those hard talks. Because a good relationship will prevent rebellion. So have that relationship. Rules without relationship equals rebellion. So have that relationship with your kids. Have those talks with them.
Absolutely. And you mentioned everyone having Narcan. It is available over the counter now, right? Or is it easier for people to get?
It's easier for people to get, but you got to be trained by it. You won't be able to get a can of Narcan unless you're trained.
Okay.
So you need to get that trained and keep it in your house because you just don't know. I encourage pastors and churches because people are doing things not only just in the home, outside the home, even in your houses of faith. You need to be prepared because you don't know what's coming in your doors.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do you think kids are getting their hands on these drugs? And like you said, maybe they're not aware of that it could be laced with something that's really dangerous.
I mean, that's happening. I mean, social media, that's texting. I have people are looking for, there's all sorts of ways. Every kids are wanting to make money. So people are selling and they're pushing. Kids are pushing in school. It can happen with their friends, social media. It's available. That's why you have to monitor your kid's phone.
Absolutely.
Substance abuse, mental health, suicide. I deal with kids and families all the time. And I just want to encourage parents, please be engaged with your children. Please get to know them because we're trying to save a generation here. And the schools cannot raise your children. You got to have parents and a village around them. We all need to be engaged in these kids' life to save these kids' life. And so I just would encourage all parents and all people around, get engaged and let's save these lives.